Alright, this isn't going to be your usual replay. We're doing a bit of something here. So I purposefully didn't show the load-in screen, and I will not show the post-game screen. Because I don't really want to flame this person. If you really care who it was, this was a part of the live stream, so, you know, you can really seek out that information if you want it, but I'm not just going to put it up here to be a dick about it. I will say I was loading into a quick battle. I was trying to have some fun. Khorne versus Bretonnia. I took a suboptimal build of a bunch of cavalry, some skull crushers, and some other stuff to have a cav fight with Bretonnia. And my opponent previously dodged me because I was trying to play Grand Cathay to try out a spell combination of Viewer Wanted. They instant dodged me as soon as I locked in Grand Cathay, but when I locked in Khorne, they stayed in the game and kept this degenerate fucking box. So as soon as we loaded in, I saw that, I got pissed off. The point of this video is to show you how to try and break a full infantry degen box, no matter how bad your army is. For the Khorne army, if you care, I have 5 Marauders, one of which has dual weapons, 2 Skull Crushers, anti-large armor-piercing cav, and then I have the Herald of Khorne's Furies, the Blood Crusher ROR, Chaos Knights with Lances, Soul Grinder of Khorne, and the Chaos Lord of Khorne. Right. So my Skull Crushers are worthless, most of my cavalry isn't ideal because there's no large targets for anything to target. For my opponent, we have 4 Foot Squires on the front line with chevrons, some silver, some not. We have Men-at-Arms, Polearms, and then the Beast Slayers of Bastogne, Foot Squires, Regiment of Renown, the Holy Wardens of La Massatil, a Grail Relique to give everybody in this horrible blob a bunch of leadership, ITP, and melee attack, Alberic de Bordelot to give everyone in this blob leadership and bonus versus large, Felix to heal up any lords or heroes nearby, a healer with only Earthblood to heal up the whole blob, and 3 archers. So it's a blob. Now, how to deal with blobs? Well, there's a lot of ways. The first thing to do, if you have the cavalry advantage like I have right here, and you don't have a range advantage, time is not on your side. Also, the enemy has healing, so time really isn't on your side. You need to identify what can you charge for free. The enemy has no mobility, and even then, their ranged here is pretty limited. It's not like peasant archers have armor piercing. His Foot Squires don't have charge defense. They don't have charge defense versus large. They don't have charge reflection. They don't have any of that shit. All of his halberds are in the back. I identify the front is where I need to attack. Now, if you flip the places, you put the pole arms on front, the Foot Squires in back, you need to get your cavalry around the back. I guess I could be using arrows. Cavalry around the back and hit them there. Right. But their pole arms are in the back. So identify these guys don't have charge bonus. Hit them. Big damage. I take very little. I'm going to back off. Meanwhile, Skull Crushers are trying to hit here. Now, what you want to do if you're playing perfectly, and what I fucked up over here, is you have 2 cavalry units charging the same thing. That's not good. You want 1 cav unit to charge each one. Because look at this wall of cavalry. My 2nd cavalry isn't going to get in there, so I don't give it. I can't get a good charge there. Now, I saw some pole arms moving up. I do charge my Soul Grinder in. Why am I doing that? Well, it's a very simple thing. Also, why I got this Chaos Knight of Khorne up here is I wanted to melee attack, but whatever. You can use a single entity to break a charge reflecting type unit, halberds like the Beast Slayers of Bastogne and these Men-at-Arms Polearms. Get a single entity in there. He won't take very much damage on the charge in. He'll take some, but not a lot. And then you break that charge reflection, and then your cavalry can come right back in and get that nice juicy charge. When you're facing an infantry box, you're just going to need to do a ton of damage, and you can't charge into things with charge reflection. So, there's that. Soul Grinder breaks their formation a bit. My cav charge back in onto unbraced stuff and charge back out. It's the impact damage we're after. You're not really trying to stay in combat. You're not trying to trade with melee stats. You're just doing impact damage and you're leaving. Impact damage and you're leaving. Don't sit and fight. Most blobs have some form of drain effect, like a Mortis engine, or they just have higher stats than you and they want you to actually engage in melee combat. Your only advantage is mass and speed, so use it. Now out here, I do have Marauders engaging. Marauders are good. The single entities are better, but Marauders are decent for engaging the enemy, breaking that charge defense, and then you can charge through them, but that's not nearly as good as a single entity because your Marauders get in your own way. Also, if you can get your opponent on the move, you can still get a good charge. Even with pole arms here, when they're not braced, I can still hit them and do a lot of damage. You can see it in the distance. Right. Now, the next thing to do is target priority. What's the point? What's the objective here? My Chaos Lord is trying to snipe out the Grail Relique. The Grail Relique is a huge problem for me. I can't get a Terror out from my Soul Grinder. As long as it's here, it's giving the whole blob ITP. It's also giving the whole blob leadership, melee attack, things like that. This is similar to vampire counts. If vampire counts are going to blob on you, you need to kill the corpse cart. The corpse cart's making the whole blob a lot harder to kill. Get a single entity like my Chaos Lord or the Soul Grinder and go attack the corpse cart, or the Grail Leak, or the Cultist of Nurgle on his War Shrine, right? You got to take out the buff first. The infantry is tempting, and take any low-hanging fruit for free. Sure, do that. But your actual priority is to kill the Grail Leak so you can get these guys to rout. I also need to stop the archers from firing. The archers are the DPS. The front line, I don't care as much. They're fighting my Marauders right now, and they're beating them, but I don't really care. The front line doesn't have any agency to kill my stuff that can carry the game, because I can just keep cycle charging as much as I want, but those archers are forcing me in. So the Soul Grinder is in here, helping. These Men-at-Arms polearms were engaged, so their charge defense is broken. Alberto Bolorlo is flung away. My Soul Grinders, Skull Crushers are moving in from the rear here. Get a big charge, get big damage down. I've almost routed those guys in the distance. My Skull Crushers are staying a little bit too long in combat. Now, of course, I'm not playing this perfectly, but I am doing my best. We've routed an archer, which is the objective. Soul Grinder's still in here, offering some support. Get 1 Men-at-Arms polearms to rout. Foot Squire's also going to rout at 0 HP. More stuff is routing, which is glorious. Now, this is another thing you need to be careful about with the box-type stuff that you're breaking. You do need to chase down every single thing that routes. Cannot be allowed to come back, otherwise you have to break it all over again. You can see already these Men-at-Arms polearms with their triple gold chevrons are already back up to 37 leadership. So they have plenty of fight left in them if I allow them to rally, which just can't happen. Felix leaves the blob. I need to kill him while he is isolated for a bit, or at least get good damage down before he gets his polearm friends or Alberic or something. We're still killing some stuff off. The Grail Leak has moved far enough away from these outer units that they can all start terror routing. You can see we're easily able to start chasing off things in the distance. And since I'm playing Khorne, though this is a Khorne-specific thing, since I'm playing Khorne, chasing stuff down also gives me kills for the army passives, like Horn of Khorne, Sword of Khorne, that kind of thing. Alberic is trying to return to the blob. The Holy Lords of Masteel are chasing around. Not really sure what they think they're doing, but whatever. I have some Marauders just harassing Foot Squires far away from the blob. I need to get some cavalry over here and charge these guys down when I get the time. Soul Grinder is going to help me chase off some stuff. But all the archers of the enemy are gone. I couldn't quite kill Felix, but I did a lot of damage to him. So the enemy has no more range. Nothing to force me in. And I have separated out a large portion of their forces, so I get to chase them down for free and get some kills. In the meantime, we unfortunately have the second Trident of Manon. Going to kill off another of my Marauders. Not that I care overly much about it. And I am waiting for the opponent to blob up. Now, I probably have a Sword of Khorne at this point, if I'm remembering the game correctly. I do, so as soon as they blob up, I am going to hit them. Still haven't been able to kill that Grail Leak, but we are trying. There goes a bunch more units. When stuff shatters, I leave it alone. I could keep chasing it for army passive, but at this point, 8 models on the Foot Squires will take forever to kill, and I'm only getting 8 kills out of it. It's not worth my time. I would much rather catch and kill these isolated Foot Squires than get a paltry 14 more kills. Besides, with the current state of the game, my Sword of Khorne already happened. There's only 1 half-health Men-at-Arms polearms that's even worth Sword of Khorning at this point, and I have to wait for the cooldown and all that stuff. So really, the Khorne army abilities aren't going to help me too much more in this fight. I already have more melee attack than I know what to do with versus a lot of these targets. Chaos Lord of Khorne dives in for just a second. That's probably a whoopsie. I think he's going to get out of here before his charge bonus wears off. I was trying to bail out those Marauders, and my attention was focused elsewhere. So as we said before, we are just killing anything that is isolated. Now, another little trick you can do. These Skull Crushers did not get the proper charge on. Now, if you're just focusing on one unit, you could go all the way out and all the way back in. That takes time. What you can do if you have 2 units set up like this unit's already routing, so it doesn't matter if I get a half-ass charge onto that. But I can get these guys over here to make sure this keeps routing. Take this healthier unit that's outside combat over here to get a nice, fresh charge on those Foot Squires. Keeps both units doing something at the same time rather than you constantly spending a ton of micro to get this unit all the way out and all the way back in. FYI. So those guys are going to hot swap out. I'm leaving the blob alone. They can cast some Earthbloods or whatever. I'm busy. Here we go. The Skull Crushers are going to trade out positions. Now these guys get a nice fresh charge. Beep, bop, boop. And the shock damage should take out those Foot Squires pretty soon while we shatter the other one. That one rounds. Shattered everything in this corner as well. Now we're coming back to the fold. Bounce power is still even. 6 minutes in the game, but the opponent is very much down to just their single entities. And I guess the Man-at-Arms polearms are slightly healthy still. But set up a surround. Now, I do make a mistake here because this Soul Grinder Corn, I don't get to see him a lot, so I didn't know how good he actually was. The blob is healing up, but I realize he has a ton of missile strength and 27 ammunition, so I just walk him up to the blob and start firing. Because if my opponent's just going to sit in his little stupid fucking blob all day, I'm going to shoot his ass for free. Now, a couple shots go through the center of the blob and actually do decent damage, but most of them, for some reason, just don't do any damage whatsoever. So for a bit, I let the Soul Grinder sit and shoot, but after it's clear my opponent's healing more than I'm dealing damage because the Soul Grinder of Corn sucks ass, I start to get involved. Now, the same things we talked about at the start of the game are important. Soul Grinder is going to dive in onto some Beast Slayers. You can see he takes almost no damage from breaking their charge defense, but as soon as he does, I follow it up with Skull Crushers, who are able to get off a much easier charge. I also have Marauders breaking the charge defense on the other side, so we're really trying to shock damage these guys out. Again, with that stupid Grail Relic still alive, it's hard to tear out them off and whatever. I have the Soul Grinder trying to attack it, and I've even given him buffs from my Fight or Die. Another thing, this is Corn specific, but it is still true. If you have Horn of Corn and Fight or Die, or the Herald of Corn's abilities, or anything, be careful not to overstack your melee attack, because look, dude, with Fight or Die, this guy already has 82 melee attack. I'm waiting on the on the Horn of Corn until Fight or Die wears out. Fight or Die wears out, I think the Horn of Corn comes down pretty soon. I believe, yes, we took out that fucking Grail Leak, and we are going to get a mass tear out. There's the Horn of Corn to follow up on this area, and we are getting all of the infantry to route, except for those Men-at-Arms polearms. They're still plenty healthy, but these guys are terror routing out away from Alberic, away from their healing, away from their support, so I can now isolate them and officially chase them down and repeat the old process. And while I'm doing that, my guys can rally. Because my Skull Crushers and stuff are faster than the opponent. So while I can chase down their guys, they can't chase down mine. Because they took no agency, they just took infantry. I'm trying to get a rear charge on these pole arms while the Marauders of Corn are still breaking their defenses. Yeah, there we go. Boop. So just before their charge defense comes back up, we get another hit in, but the healing gets them to safety, and I'm shattering more stuff. Soul Grinder is trying to kite a little bit with his shots while I finished off the Holy Wardens of La Masatil, and now I see the single entities are isolated from their pole arms, so I do want to get a quick free charge attack onto them. Unfortunately, infantry characters are still very, very hard to hit, and we end up knocking them around quite a bit, but I can get Felix isolated from Alberic, and I can get a couple shots on him with my Chaos Lord of Corn. With 104 melee attack plus a charge bonus, I should be able to hit Felix whenever he stands up, though I'm unfortunately also taking some damage in return. Skull Crushers are in combat with the Men-at-Arms polearms. I want to keep them distracted so I can get a rear charge, but I also don't want to lose my Skull Crusher, so it's tough. We do terror out Felix, but he gets an Earthblood to heal back up. My Skull Crushers plow through the back of those Men-at-Arms. We've almost got them routed, and unfortunately my Skull Crushers do head for the hills. There we go. Terror out onto those Men-at-Arms polearms. All the infantry support is gone. Felix is taking damage, but the Soul Grinder is doing its best to hit him, though some of its flashier animations actually end up missing just flat out. Still trying to get Felix, trying to push him out of here. He provides healing for all of his buddies around him, so just tired of that guy's shit. Herald of Corn is back in. Sorry, the Chaos Lord of Corn's back in. And my Skull Crushers think about routing, but manage to rally. Felix is routed yet again. Now we're going for the Damsel of Life. She's been spamming heals this whole game. It's hard to tell if I can kill her or not, but if I can, I'll obviously get rid of her. One of my Skull Crushers routes, but got rid of the Men-at-Arms polearms. Now we just need to cycle charge the shit out of Alberic de Bordelot. With the Horn of Corn popped, I have tons of melee attack. I get some good hits onto him. He is unfortunately ITP. No, he's not ITP, so we could terror out him. My Skull Crushers get routing, and without any support, I want to fight while I still have the Horn of Corn for a bit, but my charge bonus is going to start to wear off. So I think it's time to maybe leave this place and keep after Felix. I do want to keep him routing. Unfortunately, some of my Skull Crushers shatter. So we're just going to take this opportunity to chase off Felix for free while we wait to get another Horn of Corn or another Fight or Die from the Chaos Lord. And maybe just reset my charge bonuses too so we can keep coming in. And either we get a nice big charge attack onto these infantry or we send them flying, which if we send them flying, then at least, hey, they're not attacking us and we can just reset and do another charge. So, yep, there we go. I sent Alberic flying instead of getting a hit on him, but it's okay. We're just going to run him down, try again. I think we had a little hit there, but again, we knock him down. Foot characters are still very hard to hit, so if your opponent goes an entire blob of infantry and foot characters, they're being an asshole. Soul Grinder Corn at 2,700 damage value. Chaos Lord of Corn also charging back in. These guys are so close to routing, and I think Alberic doesn't have ITP when I checked, so he is actually terror routable, and if I can terror out both these guys off, I can win the game. So I got a little greedy here. Should focus more on chasing down Felix, knock down Alberic again, just making sure to refresh those charge attacks over and over again. And again, keep on Felix, don't let him come back. Soul Grinder takes a hit. Getting a little sloppy with some of these things. If I have units coming back from across the map, so I tried to give them some orders, and in the meantime, let the Soul Grinder take a little bit too much damage from Alberic. Gonna get a rear charge onto this lady, knock her down, knock her over, get 2 hits in a row, and Terror Router, so no more healing for Alberic no matter what. Chaos Lord, let Felix come back, so I had to come back and help the Soul Grinder out a little bit. His leadership was dipping, so I wanted to get him next to my Encourage aura for a bit of leadership. But Felix is getting some damage onto my Chaos Lord. I hit him real bad, but he managed to stay in the fight. We're charging back into him and Alberic. Get another good charge attack in. Get all that nice juicy charge bonus for free. And then we tear out Felix yet again, hit him in the back of my Chaos Lord, still trying to kill him off, but we cannot let that damsel come back, because if she gets off another Earthblood, I'm going to have a lot more Alberic to get through. Balance Power doesn't like me, but I have all the agency in this situation. I'm way faster, and I can just cycle my combat abilities pretty easily. So we're killing off the 2 single entities that are isolated. Don't really want to fight Alberic on his terms. Want to fight him on my terms. So kill the damsel. Get some free cycle charges. Once again, either only fighting him when I have Fight or Die up, or when we can get good charges down. Fight or Die is popped. I want to try and get a surround on this guy. I tell my Chaos Lord of Corn to try and go around him, but I get some weird animations where I just start walking sideways for a bit. Soul Grinder is getting so close to Demonic Instability Crumbling. You can see that without my Fight or Die leadership buff, it was going to start Demonic Instability Crumbling, so I need to keep it having that charging buff, the plus 15. So he can't disengage, because if he disengages, he's just going to Demonic Instability, like he is right now, because just charging more off eventually. My Chaos Lord of Corn finally gets behind Alberic, but the Soul Grinder is gone. Get a nice hit onto him from the Chaos Lord, and then I fuck off, leave him all alone while I try and recharge my buffs. I run up, gat the damsel. And by the way, this guy is fresh because he has the fucking Icon of Endless War. Plus I have full rage charged up. So we're buff as hell. Route that lady, charge Alberic, take a hit. I have 80 melee attack. Alberic has 40 melee defense. But I do start missing. This gets very, very concerning. 300 HP. My opponent has 500. 300 HP still. Despite all the stats in the world, I am missing Alberic. I am starting to panic a lot. And I finally get him to route. And then I win. Now I'm not going to hit end replay, because then you'll see the person's name. And I don't want to be a dick about it. But hopefully, even though that was talking about Corn, you can see how to destroy infantry blob-ass piece of shit builds. Taking some of those tips. So if you're dealing with braced infantry, never charge cavalry into braced infantry. Use a single entity or your own infantry to break their charge defense, then charge in. Charge what infantry you can that don't have charge reflection. And when you're dealing with single entities, don't just sit and fight them. Do, cycle charge them or wait for your abilities to come back up before taking the fight. Because listen, if they're just going to fucking sit around with a foot squad and try and abuse any broken mechanic they can, then they sacrificed all their agency. If they wanted to stop you from cycle charging, they should have taken some artillery, or taken some real ranged units, or taken some cavalry of their own, or taken monsters, or taken anything besides just infantry. If they just take infantry, fuck them. They deserve it. Roar!
Subscribe, yes, yes.